should be being recorded? Did we all get a notice saying it's being recorded? Okay, great, thanks, Beth. Okay, so yes. Anyway, back to the presentation. So, and as well, if you could make sure you're muted, that would be really helpful. I think I have the power to mute everyone, but it does mean I have to sort of cycle through everyone and just double check when I hear a little rustling. Okay, so if you aren't sure, Makers Academy is a 12-week software bootcamp where we take people from all walks of life and all levels of experience and guide them through the fundamentals of learning how to be a software developer. And this cohort are no exception to that. What usually happens is there's, I'd say, probably about 7 to 8 weeks of guided learning, and then the rest is made up by group work. And what you'll be seeing today is a culmination of 2 weeks of surprisingly independent work by all of these individuals. So 2 weeks ago, they were put into groups within their cohort and pretty much left alone to it. So whatever you're seeing today has been very unsupported, very unguided, independent work from these teams. And I think that after 10 weeks of learning how to be software developers, for them to achieve what they've achieved is staggering. If you are lucky enough to have any of these individuals working on your team once they start their placement, you have my envy. I wish I had any of them working on dev teams I've been in the past. If you do have any questions, I would ask you to please hold the questions until the appropriate time at the end of each presentation. And if anyone has any code-specific questions, what we'll do is we'll offer the public repositories of each group's project so that you can actually have a look in through the code yourselves rather than asking overly technical questions to an audience of varying levels of interest and understanding in that realm. Okay, so with all that being said, I think it's time to look at the first group project. And so may I invite, who's going to be the first speaker for Team Sprint? Is that you, Steve?
I believe it's Michelle.
Ah, Michelle.
Sorry.
Okay, Michelle, I shall hand it over to you.
Share my screen, so that's what I want. There we go. Can you all see that? Yeah, thanks for the thumbs up there, Beth. Okay, so welcome to our presentation, everyone. We are Team Sprint, where you're only a few steps away from your next challenge. In this team are myself, Steve, Sam, and Khaled.
So what is Sprint? Sprint is a running challenge app. Users can sign up and join challenges. They can then update their progress over a period of time in order to complete the challenge and gain a shiny new digital badge. When designing our app, we asked ourselves a number of key questions. So we feel that anyone can use Sprint. We created a number of user profiles for our target audience, and to launch the application, we produced a range of challenges to match what would be ideal for these users. We already know this audience exists based off the giant user bases already tracking their activities with smartwatches and the like. We felt that potential users would predominantly fall into two categories: the new runners looking for motivation to get started, and experienced runners looking for a new challenge. The value of Sprint App is that we make the challenges fun. While other apps may have a monthly run 5K or a similar goal, all our challenges are bespoke and made with a theme. You also don't just have to run. Any activity can be added and be kept in your activity log to look back on to see your progress. Also, with our third-party integrations, activities recorded on your running watch or smartphone could be synced directly to Sprint, so you can keep track of your progress all in one place.
I'm going to talk to you about our team. When we got together, we looked at extreme programming values and decided that we wanted to incorporate these into our daily working lives. Something that was great about our team was that we were full of ideas, but this did mean that we needed to compromise on our MVP. We implemented a culture that promoted honest and open discussions, and our mantra was every idea is a valid idea. So sometimes things that we put forward weren't agreed as a group, and sometimes they were. So we had this consensus of agreement. For our ways of working, we predominantly used these 3 platforms. We used Zoom for our ceremonies, we used GitHub to store code and manage our project, and we used Miro for planning and design. I'm going to show you a snippet of our Miro board to give you an idea of how we planned and designed. So this was our initial project ideas. As you can see, we had quite a lot that we needed to narrow down for an MVP. Even then, our MVP did take longer than I expected, but we were really pleased with what we achieved when we got to MVP stage. We decided to map out our user journeys. So we mapped out sign in, sign up, sign out. We mapped out joining a challenge and tracking progress. For each journey, we agreed on things like page names, layout, even the smallest things of what size should our buttons be and where are they going to go. But with each iteration, some things did change, so we did continue our agile ways of working, small things being achieved. We also decided on our logo for Sprint and our colour scheme. I'm going to pass you over to Khaled now, who's going to go through user profiles.
Yep, thanks, Michelle. So we created 2 user profiles to demonstrate our web app. So we've got user profile 1, which is Jenny. She's new to running, and we've got Dave, who's an experienced runner, who also likes to be challenged quite a bit. So I'll take you over to show you our first user journey, which is Jenny's user journey. Jenny would like to sign up to Sprint, so she's taken to this sign up page. To sign up, she would need to add her username, but she forgets the password on this occasion. So then she's prompted to fill in the password. We've also added the feature where you can add your profile image. She chooses that one, and then she tries to sign up again. But this time she's used a username that is already been used, so she again has to sign up with a different username. Hopefully this time she signs up and can access our homepage. So yeah, she can see here all her challenges and her username and login profile image, which can be used to take her to a profile page. At the moment, she's not achieved any badges, so that's empty, and she can go back to find a challenge. She's new and excited and ready to go, so she picks the run to this space station. She skips the description and to find out what's it about and joins the challenge. Here in the active challenge page, she can basically add her activity and log what she's doing. So she goes for her first run, adds the first run, and then manually inputs the distance. She then realizes that she's got 253 miles and it's quite challenging, so she decides it's too much, she's going to quit. And then she's asked to confirm if she'd like to quit. She clicks yes, and then she's taken back to the landing page.
When she checks her profile page, she still doesn't currently have any challenges, so she wants to find one. Her goal was to run 5K, which is the equivalent to about 3 miles, so she's decided to do Run Rabbit Run. So she wants to join that challenge. Again, she's manually inputting data, so she puts in her first run that she's just been on a few days ago, and that is the 1 mile that she's been running. Now when she run, you can see the log at the bottom. You can also see that she's achieved one of the checkpoints, which is a small bit of satisfaction before she completes the challenge. She's going to put in her second run, but this time she realizes that running's really tough. It's not as easy as she thinks it is, so she's put in a second one, but again, she's met 3 out of 5 of these checkpoints, so all of these are kind of good rewards as she's going. She's hoping this is the last run for this challenge, so she enters that last mile, and she has completed the challenge and she's earned that badge. Now when she clicks on View Your Badges, on her profile page, she's now able to see that badge. When she goes into the activity log, it has a history of the 3 runs that she inputted to complete this challenge. She's now able to go back to the home page, and you might have noticed that Run Rabbit Run has now disappeared because that is a completed challenge. There's only available challenges left. When she's ready, she can choose another challenge, but for right now, she's ready to sign out.
So a feature that we're very excited to demonstrate for you today is our third-party integrations with Strava and Google Maps. If you're unaware of what Strava is, it's an exercise application that tracks users' exercises, funnily enough, and where you can use that to pull that data and apply it to our current activities. We also use Google Maps for if a user has chosen to track their location data when recording. We can then take that, draw it on Google Maps, download it, and apply it to users' activities. So now what we're going to do is we're going to show you just how easy it is to link your Strava account to our Sprint app. So we've got a current user here, Dave. So he's going through the sign-in journey right here. He's going to sign into his account. As you can see, he's got fewer available challenges compared to Jenny because he's been grafting. He's a hard grafter, our Dave. So he's going into his badges, and you can see they're all there, nice. But he needs something a bit more difficult, something sink his teeth into. So he's having a look, and he spots the Hadrian Wall one. It's got a good it's got a difficulty of difficult, so you know it's going to be a challenge for him. The distance is 73 miles, and he really wants that badge, so he's going to go for it. So on the active challenge page, we can see there's a link Strava button. By clicking it, he's redirected to the Strava login. And we spent quite a bit of time trying to make our application very user-friendly in our UX design. So all he needs to do is he needs to log into his Strava application, click Authorize, and that link Strava button then becomes a sync Strava button. And by clicking it, that information from Strava that he's tracked and worked hard for can then be pulled into our Sprint application. At the minute, there's absolutely nothing to sync up to because he's a little bit keen and he's just signed up to Strava, but we're going to show you exactly how that looks when there are activities to sync.
So we're going to catch up with Dave now, about a week later maybe. He's done some runs, he's got some things logged in Strava, and he's going to click that sync button again. That's going to load in all the data, and at the top now, we should see that it's found 3 new activities, so the sync is completed with 3 activities added. His current distance has increased, and he's now got his 3 Strava runs showing in his activity log. Now he chose to track his location data, and so we can take that information and display it on a route map, so you can see exactly where he's been. He also remembered that he did a bike ride, but forgot to start the Strava link, the Strava tracking, and as everyone knows, if you don't log it in Strava, it didn't really happen. But luckily with Sprint, he can add that manually. He's going to add an activity name and a distance here, a very descriptive name. He's a man of many words. Very long bike ride as well, almost 70 miles. But that is enough to complete his badge, and he's earned his Hadrian's Wall badge there. And he can now check in his log, look over and be proud of what he's done. But that's enough for his day. For today, his legs are aching and he's going to sign out.
So to wrap up our presentation for you today, we just wanted to talk about a couple of learning and development things that we've taken away from doing this project. One of them being test-driven development. We've made sure that our repo is 100% test coverage across the board. So we made sure that we've built a really robust and reliable application for our users. We've used object-oriented programming with Ruby on Rails to make sure that our application can be easily maintained and is highly scalable. And we also built our own CI/CD pipeline using Travis, which meant that when we were merging our code into main, it was auto-deployed to our Heroku production environment. But we also made sure with our Travis application that we were never pushing anything that had broken tests. So we were safeguarding our users from running into any bugs there.
I mentioned our agile ways of working earlier, so I'm going to move on to the next point. Working in a team really highlighted to us the importance of clear communication. In some scenarios, it was easy for us to jump on a call and have voice conversations about things. In other scenarios, it was more appropriate to type a message in something like Slack. Through pair programming, mobbing, and code reviews, we've really supported one another. And a lot of that has been the sharing of knowledge, which we see is a really key skill in programming. But we're very aware that there's always going to be more to learn, and we're looking forward to rejoining DWP and continuing our apprentice journey and learning some more. So thank you for listening. Do you have any questions?
Okay, I see that Bob has a question.
It's very impressive what you've done. I was just wondering whether accessibility was considered during this.
So as a general rule, given the amount of things that our learners have to cover in a 10-week period leading up to this course, we don't offer that much in accessibility training. But hopefully when they go on into placement, they'll be getting all that good stuff in their teams. However, if anybody went the extra mile and did include any accessibility stuff into the project, by all means, feel free to interject now and prove me wrong.
To be honest, I don't think we did add a whole lot of that kind of stuff, but we did make sure things like images always had alt tags on them. And we always made sure that forms always had labels so that screen readers would be able to still read them, things like that. But beyond that, no, we didn't do too much focusing on accessibility.
We did look into the contrast of colours in terms of background and what font colour should be on. So it's probably not very well represented with our PowerPoint here, but in the app, we did think about what font was on what background colour and for it to be easy to read.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, I see that James Linton has a question.
I just wanted to say, guys, I think that, excuse me, I think that's really good, really impressive what you've achieved in 2 weeks, especially the integration with Google and Strava. That's really amazing. I just wanted to ask, really, is there anything that you've learned in the project that you think when you come back to DWP that you can help your teams improve from your own learning experience of building stuff?
I'm going to a new team, so I don't currently know what my new team will be doing, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they are like and what I can bring from makers.
I think from my perspective, definitely just the working as part of the wider team and getting experience in other areas, not just the development side, has been really, really good for my personal development, I think. And I feel like that will help me when I move back to our team to play a bigger part in things.
And for me, it would probably be the use of TDD when developing our programs, something I hadn't been doing before coming to Makers, and something I'm definitely going to be bringing to my team when rejoin.
And for me, I'd say understanding the software development lifecycle, so I can get more involved when I'm back to my new team as well. And that's me.
Okay, fantastic stuff. Thank you so much, Team Sprint, and congratulations on your achievements. Next up, we have Clock In Cats. Do we have a spokesperson for Clock In Cats?
Yes, Roy, it's me. I mean, I'll be beginning the presentation.
Fantastic. Take it away.
Right. Okay. So, hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join our presentation today. We are the Clock and Cats with myself, Amin, Lewis, and Oisin. So, the first, our presentation was based on designing an app that enhances the experience of managing and completing our timesheets. As I'm sure everyone is familiar with this spreadsheet, this is what we use to record our flexi time. We all know at DWP how painful of a chore it is to fill in our timesheets several times a day, every day, chained to our desks. So hopefully this app will ease the pain of that. So the first thing on our agenda was to discuss our team charter. Our team charter is a set of agreements designed by us, which states what we want to accomplish, why it's important, and how the team will work together throughout the project. So we agreed on things like tasks and ceremonies. We had a section reminding ourselves of the XP values. And then if we move on to the next slide, we agreed on ways of working, which included using a Miro board for planning and diagramming, We agreed on standardized commit message patterns and branch names. And as a team, we created and prioritized our tickets to ensure that we covered all the selected user stories. Next, we looked at and discussed our team and individual goals for what we wanted to achieve from this project. Then we started to plan and design our project. We used a Miro board, as mentioned, and GitHub projects. And this is some of the diagramming that we did for our database. And we also decided to use a single post route as opposed to 4 separate routes for creating entries. I personally found a diagram very useful and helpful to understand things better. Here you can see our initial design of our app. Our USP, unique selling point, was to have an app which you can easily clock in and out with a single click of a button. And here you can see part of our planning was to decide on our MVP. These are screenshots of our developed MVP. And we had a little bit of a celebration at the end of completing our MVP with a game of Mario Kart, which I'm pretty sure Lewis had rigged. Just to get our MVP completed, we decided it would be quicker and easier to have 4 separate buttons to clock in and out, which unfortunately compromised our USP. At the end of the first week, we reflected on our work with a retrospective, which we took actions from moving forward. One of the outcomes of the retro was that we all agreed as a team on our focuses for the following week, which included cosmetic styling of the app and putting together our presentation. So now I'm going to pass you on to Oshin.
Sure, thanks, Amin. So as Amin mentioned, for our MVP, we kind of compromised our one clock in and out button concept. So for our first iteration, we wanted to rectify this. So here's a screen grab from our Miro board, which kind of shows the links and the buttons on each page and where they link to. And you can see here in the middle on the bottom, center stage is the clock in and out button. So our first iteration actually looked like this. So it's quite a simple interface and the button takes center stage. And now I'll pass over to Lewis and he can show you a live demo so you can see where we went from here.
Okay, so I should be screen sharing now. Thanks, Oshin. So this is the live production version of the Cat's Clock-in app hosted in Heroku. So if you're a new user, you can create an account using the register button down here. We've added some client-side validation to ensure that users can only create accounts when they've filled in all the necessary details, as we can see here. So I'm going to log in as a user who's been using this account for quite a while now, Moggymog. And this here is the single clock in, clock out button, which is our USP. We've got the current time shown to the user here. And if I take you to the timesheets view, so this is like the current timesheet for the week. And then we can sort of flick back through previous weeks of Moggymog's timesheets. And as we can see, she's been very consistent in filling out her timesheets. Along the top, we've got the days of the week. Down the bottom side, we've got the types of entries, so like starting in the morning, starting in the afternoon, etc. And then along the bottom, we've got the daily total times that have been completed. And finally, the weekly total here. So if I go back to this week, here's today, and we can see that we're still missing 2 values here. So starting in the afternoon and finishing for the afternoon. So let's fill in those values now. So we go back into clock in or out, and we can see the times changed, and we click the clock in button, and it tells us that we've clocked in for the afternoon. And now I note that the button has changed to clock out. So clicking that button here, you clocked out for the afternoon, and now this button has gone grey. It's a disabled button now, so you can't click it any further. And the text reads complete, which indicates that the timesheet for the current day has been completed. So say we made a mistake and we actually want to change a value. For example, I've pressed the button twice here and I want to change this now. So if I go into this value, sorry, I probably went through it a little bit quick. Clicking on this value here, this is like Friday the 25th PM finish. So you can see, sorry, 26th PM finish. And then I can change the values to 5 and submit. And we can see here that the time's changed to 5, and then these total times have been updated accordingly. So now we've got a fully completed timesheet for this week. We want to be able to input that into the DWP Flexi Sheets spreadsheet. So I can export the timesheet, and as you can see, the browser is now downloading this file. I'll open it up. Here it is. So this is like, if for people who work with DWP, this will be like immediately familiar. We've got the days down here and the different types running along the top. So you can simply copy this and paste it into the Flexi sheet, and then the Flexi sheet will work its magic to work out how much Flexi you've done this week. So the last few things, we've just got a simple like instructions page here to tell the user how to use the site for new users or for users who forget how to use it. And then finally, we really wanted to put a big focus on making this accessible on mobile, as we feel that the true value in this would be to use this app on mobile to like clock in and out throughout the day. And then when it gets to the end of the week or the end of whenever you want to fill in your Flexi sheets, you can log in on your browser and export the timesheets in the correct format. So we can see here that the functionality is exactly the same on mobile. We've considered things like font sizes, buttons changing as you go into mobile view, which you can see here. Buttons get bigger in mobile view. And that is pretty much it. So I'm going to hand back over now to Asheen.
Sure, thank you, Lewis. So here we've got a couple of screen grabs from our GitHub. So it just shows like the number of commits we made during the fortnight, as well as the number of tickets we completed. And we called our tickets meows just to keep with a clock and cats theme. So we completed 28 tickets within the 2 weeks, and this covered our MVP as well as our first iteration and our second iteration. And we also managed to complete a couple of nice to haves as well. So next slide, please. So if we had a bit more time on the app, or if we were to keep working on it, here's our ticket backlog with additional features we'd like to add. And especially Meow 34, we'd like to have functionality so you could export a timesheet directly within the DWP template. So that would save you having to copy and paste the time values across from the current exported sheet. You can also see we've got one block ticker here, which was we started to set up a CI/CD pipeline with Travis, but it was taking us a bit of time, and because we're a small team of 3, we decided it would be better to focus on key functionality within this sprint. And final slide. So just to reflect on our goals, which I introduced at the start. So you can see these lovely love hearts show all the goals that we feel like we met. And in terms of team goals, there's only one goal which we didn't technically meet, which is making time to run sharing learning sessions. And this is because, as I previously mentioned, we were a small team of 3. So a lot of our programming we completed in mobbing, which is like pair programming, but as a 3 instead of a 2. So within these mobbing sessions, we take it in turns to kind of drive, which means like sharing the screen as we code. And that meant we could really easily kind of share knowledge as we went along, because if you didn't exactly know how to do something, there's 2 other people on the call with you to help out. And this is really useful as we were kind of, especially in the early stages, putting in the key features of the app. So we were all on the same page and kind of knew exactly which bit of code did what. So that's the end of our presentation anyway. If you'd like to ask any questions, please feel free to.
Fantastic work. Any questions from the crowd? Okay, well, oh, here we go. Scott has a question.
Yeah, it's a fantastic idea, and it's a great implementation. I could see that being taken on board with a few tweaks. My question is, how did you divide the work up? Did you sort of split it all up equally? Did you work in pairs on certain things, then there was an odd one out, or how did you do it? How did you go about it?
For the majority of it, we worked as a free within mobbing. So we kind of we'd spend 15 minutes each with a literal timer beeping at the end of the 15 minutes, and then we'd push up the commit and then swap around. And that kind of 15 minutes between three of us worked quite well, because you'd have 15 minutes on, half an hour kind of in the back seat, still obviously helping out, and then we'd have a 15 minutes break every hour. So that worked quite well. And then in the later stages, we started dividing it up a bit more, mainly especially for CSS and stuff, because one person could be like tweaking CSS, working on a page, while someone else could be even working on this presentation, for example. I'm not sure if Lewis or Amin, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, so like the main functionality when we were coding it, I think we decided as a team it would be useful that we mob on it, so that again, what Oisin was talking about, sharing the knowledge, and then when there was like smaller tickets that we didn't really weren't as important, sharing knowledge on, we did them later on.
Yeah, and just finally from me, we had to really think about how we were going to work, because 3 is quite an awkward number. We didn't want to leave anybody isolated, really. We thought it was really important that everybody had the experience to like see how you make a route in Rails, or how you create buttons and stuff. It was really important for us. We had like a big focus on making sure that everyone experienced that. So yeah, we did basically work as a unit throughout the whole thing. But we did do a few things individually at the end, as has been mentioned as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Fantastic work, people. Congratulations. I think we don't have any more questions for the clocking cats. So with that, I shall introduce the next team, who are Team Rapify. And who's going to be the spokesperson for Rapify starting off?
That's going to be me.
All right, Stella, take it away.
Thank you very much, Roy. Hi, everyone. We are Team Rapify. My name is Stella. My teammates are Alex, Tom B, and Thomas. So the tagline for Rapify is Spotify Wrapped Anytime. So for those of you who aren't aware, Spotify Wrapped is a yearly wrap-up of the music that you've listened to over the past year, including information such as your most listened to song or artist. Our team wanted to create a website that allowed the user to access this information at any time. So moving on, I'm going to be talking to you about the way we work together as a team, starting with the planning. So for planning, we created a Miro board that we'd use to brainstorm by creating mind maps. We agreed on our MVP. We split features into epics. We created our first iteration designs by wireframing both the browser and the mobile view. We created our team charter, and we set some goals for ourselves as well. Then we moved into Jira, where we created tickets, which we split into epics, and then each ticket had its own subtasks and user stories as well. Working as a team, day to day, we had stand-ups, stand-downs, and lunchtime catch-ups. We communicated via Slack, we engaged in pairing and mobbing, and we had a mid-sprint retro. Moving on, you're going to be able to see some of the goals that we set for ourselves. As you can see, there's quite a bit of variety due to the level of experience with the tech stack that we had for ourselves, which I'm going to pass over to Tom, who's going to talk a bit more about that.
Thanks, Stella. So I'm going to talk about the tech that we used and why we decided to use it. So in our early planning stages, we discussed the pros and cons of Ruby and JavaScript and which one we would be able to use. We ended up opting for JavaScript, as on the bootcamp we've been using Ruby on Rails and Sinatra, and we thought it would be very similar to JavaScript. And also we thought that the Spotify API would be returning JSON data, and that would be easier to manipulate using JavaScript. However, going down this route, we knew that we would have less support access from Makers Academy, and we knew that it might take some more time to learn, as we all knew the basics, but no one had advanced knowledge of this. This next slide shows the tech stack that we decided to use. So on the back end, we used Express and Node and Chai and Cinnamon. We used Express to help with the routing to make it easier to create the endpoints, and we used Node for the package management and to help us install useful tools. We opted for Chai and Cinnamon for our testing to help with the creation of stubs and doubles. On the front end, we used EGS and Bootstrap. This was so that we could easily implement the code from the back end onto the front end. As for authentication, we used OAuth, which is something that the Spotify account service uses, and they use this to authenticate every individual user. And for the API, Spotify had a nice API and plenty of documentation for it, and we use this to gather our data or create data using what we got back from this API. I'll now pass you on to Alex.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so throughout the 2 weeks, we had quite a few challenges, but we also had our fair share of successes. So the first main challenge that we had was actually limitations with the Spotify API. So we couldn't extract data that we wanted to, such as like the length of time that you've listened to a song or the length of time you've listened to an album to mimic the official Spotify Wrapped. We had another really big bug, which is where we had multiple users signed into our site. It displayed the listening behaviors of the user who was most recently signed in, which was quite a pain. We had merge conflicts, so through a lack of our communication, the style sheet that we had was overwritten. So we mobbed on that and got that sorted. As for our successes, we had really good site availability. So our website's available on both desktop and mobile. We had a pipeline in the background which ran our tests and our test coverage. So if we didn't have 100% coverage, or if we had any failing tests, then our branch couldn't be merged. And we also had really good team availability. So if there was a problem to solve, that we all came together, mobbed on that problem, solved it, got through it, and then continued working. As for the goals that we mentioned at the beginning, we had a retro at the end of the project where we reflected on our individual goals. And as you can see, we feel like we achieved all the personal goals that we had set and got a substantial amount of knowledge and experience back from the project. So now I'll pass on to the other Tom.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah, so in true Blue Peter fashion, I'm going to do a demo, but I've prepared it earlier, so I'll just let the video play. And could someone give me a quick thumbs up if you can hear it as well? Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Future Tom. So this is the landing page of Rappify. You can see we've got our logo, the name of the product, and the tagline, Spotify Wrapped Anytime. So if we just go down to the login with Spotify button, we'll be redirected to the Spotify account service, which we use to authenticate and basically get access to a user's listening data from Spotify. So we'll log in and we're redirected to the homepage of the site. So you can see here we've got a card of the most played songs. So you can see on the right there, you've got a Camp Adventure song and then the album cover as well. So as well as songs, we display a variety of listening behaviour of the user. So if we go up to the nav bar, you can see what different sections there. So if we navigate down to the artist section, you can see you've got the user's top 5 artists of all time, as well as the profile picture of the artist, which comes from their Spotify profile. So if we go down to albums now, you can see the user's most played album. So 5 songs from this album appeared in Stella's top 50 songs. You've got the album cover there and a little widget so you can play tracks from the album on the site, which is integrated with Spotify. So if we go down again to genres, this is just a list of the top 10 genres that a user has listened to, which is pulled from the top 50 songs of all time. So if we go down to the decade section, you can see here we've just got 4. So in each decade, we have the album cover, the date of release, the artist, and the name of the song. And if a user has no songs from a specific decade, the decade drop-down isn't generated here. So if we go back up to the top to songs, and then in the top right, you can see view time range. So if we click on last 6 months, rather than data from all time, it's limited to data from the last 6 months. So a user can see the same data presented in the same way, but just with a different time scale. So you can see here the artists have changed and the songs have changed. And if we go down to decade, you can see 1990s is here now where it wasn't before. And if we go back up, a user can see that sort of more short-term listening history from the past 4 weeks. So Stella really likes Stella Sleep, so there isn't much change here from all time, 6 months and 4 weeks. But it's essentially the same display of data, but just through the lens of a different time scale. So if we go back up to songs now, in the top right, you can see a picture and a username. So that's Stella's Spotify username. And if we click on that and open in a new tab, you can see here we have Stella's Spotify profile. And just before I pass back to President Tom, I just wanted to demonstrate that the site is fully mobile responsive, and yeah, all functionality remains, but obviously things are slightly different sizes and responsive to a mobile view. So yeah, back to President Tom. Yeah, so that's the demo. Does anyone have any questions at all? I can't see if anyone's got their hand up, so Roy, you might have to.
Yeah, no problem. I don't see any hands up either. So I guess you covered everything. Congratulations.
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you, Team Rappify. That was stunning. I look forward to logging in and seeing my data. It will probably be just kind of one lame act over and over again for 6 months. But enough about me. On to the next team. So closing up the presentations, we have Team Arcade. Who's kicking us off?
That would be me. We are Arcade Squad. So I'm just going to share my screen, and then behind the scenes code. So this is our app here. Sorry, there we are. Technical difficulties. So we're going to do our presentation a little bit differently. We're going to jump straight into a demo and then pass over to a sort of slideshow just to wrap up our presentation as well. So we were tasked with building a game. So we built a web app, which is a game you can play through with your friends. So we're joined by our two adventurers today, Beth and Kirsty, and we're also joined by our resident information genie, Troy, which is going to help you guide through. And I am the kind of games master for this presentation today. So Beth and Kirsty, what would you like to do first? You have a few options now. You have a how to play, you have a play button, and you have a login button.
Let's find out how to play, I think. That's good.
How to play, excellent. The ancient text of how to play. So here's how to play Burger Hunt. So it gives you a little bit of background. It's telling you it's a pretty straightforward game. It's a well-written story and not at all hashed together in like 5 minutes. So there'll be a number of choices and puzzles along the way, and to navigate the treacherous streets to reach your destination, which is a burger restaurant. We encourage you to be curious, to think outside the box. Some important things to remember is that you can check your pocket for new items or anything you pick up, and you can equip them as well. And you can use text boxes to answer the riddles, and a correct answer will allow you to continue with your adventure. Good luck and stay fresh. So your next choice.
So we'll log in, I think.
Yeah. Log in.
Good.
So we'll have to consult the information genie for the sacred login details once our Heroku app starts to play ball.
I think it needs some in the meter, I reckon.
Yeah. Here we are.
So many people playing.
Exactly.
So we have an existing user called Ronald, who has a super secure password of 123.
Excellent. Hooray. So we are now presented with a new option, which is a sort of continue or keep going button, or you can start a game from the beginning. So the choice is yours, Beth and Kirsty.
I think go from the start.
Yeah, I'd recommend that. Cool. Here we go. So this is page 1 of your Burger Hunt adventure. It gives a bit of context. It gives you the time. It's 8:37 p.m. on a Thursday. It's a school night. If you were that way inclined, you have a cat, Mr. Whiskerson. You're hungry and you don't have much in your fridge apart from some milk, onions, and some foot ointment. So you decide to head out to your favourite burger restaurant, Big Burger Joint for all ages.
What's the pocket up there?
Yeah.
So in your pocket is what you currently have on your person. So at the moment you have a half-eaten chocolate bar equipped, and also you have a T-Rex egg. So yes, I don't know, it's up to you how you decide to use them. You also have a start again option if the adventure is too much for you. You want to start from the beginning, and you have 2 options. You can either leave the house or grab your keys.
I mean, let's go. Let's leave the house.
Let's head off.
I'm hungry. So
as you leave your house, you still remember my keys. So you can check your pockets to make sure they're there. Otherwise, this is going to be pretty difficult.
Let's have a look in the pockets.
Yeah.
In the pockets we go. So no keys available.
Okay, back. Let's have a look.
Go back.
Oh, there's the keys. Grab keys.
Grab keys. Excellent. You grab the keys and head out the door, down the stairs, and through the dimly lit hallway into the street.
Okay. Right, what do we need to do? I guess we lock the door. We've got keys now. It's locked up.
Lock the door. You tried unsuccessfully to lock your door with a chocolate bar.
That hasn't worked.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Let's have a look in the pocket then. Can we do something else with the keys?
Click.
Let's go.
Right, we'll equip them then.
Yep.
And have another go at locking it.
Yeah.
Cool. As you can see from the icon here, you have your keys equipped as well. So the cool air hits you and you inhale the scent of your hometown, North Tyneside. You recently volunteered for some medical research trials, so your memory's a little fuzzy, so you can't remember how to get to Big Burger. So you have two options, left and right.
How does it know to pick our hometown though? Like North Tynesyde's right. That's really weird.
I'm glad you asked, Beth, because what we decided we wanted to do from the get-go was practice calling an API in some way. So we decided to call a city database API, which we set parameters to be near either Newcastle or Manchester, and it's returned a random city of North Tyneside.
Right. Well, thanks for explaining that.
Excellent. Thank you, Information Genie. So you have two choices, left or right. Where will you go?
What do you think, Kirsty? Right?
I think, yeah.
Right. Awesome. So you run into your old pal Rufus. This guy's a bit of a charbox, and he's not letting you carry on in your way. He says you'll move past if you can answer his riddle. He says, before Mount Everest was discovered, what was the highest mountain on Earth?
I don't know. Mount Fuji? Can you type something in the box?
Let's try Fuji. Submit answer. So it's incorrect because he's not letting you pass. So try again. His hand's still up there.
Ben Nevis.
Ben Nevis. Submit answer. Nope, still not happy.
Snowdon? Mount Snowdon?
Snowdon.
I've heard that guy. I mean, mountain's great.
I agree. So the game is giving you a hint. Rufus isn't very knowledgeable when it comes to the history of mountaineering conquest, so it must be a trick question.
Oh, it's Mount Everest. It was still the highest before it was discovered.
Everest, let's give that a try. Everesty? Nope.
Yeah.
Excellent. So here's your reward. He says he passes you a carrot for some inexplicable reason. He'll say he'll let you on your way, but he warns you your path is treacherous. You're unsure because this pathway was voted number 5 in the top 20 most pleasant walks in North Tyneside.
Yeah.
So you continue on your way. So you continue down the path, and as you walk down the street, the lights start to go out, and you find yourself caught in darkness. You can only see one clear path, which is to the left. What will you do?
Don't know.
Left?
Gotta go left.
Yeah. Try left. So instincts took you left, and your instincts were wrong. You're greeted with a dead end with some rubbish bins and some TVs and stuff. So you have two options to go back or question some stuff around the dead end.
Let's go back. I'm hungry.
Back. All right. So the game is to provide you another hint. Have you eaten your carrots today? So, like, what do carrots and dark have? Where's the connection with that?
I guess they sort of help you see in the dark.
Okay, so let's try.
You have
try pockets.
This.
Because we've got keys there at the moment with the picture. What happens if we get the carrot?
All right. Equip.
Oh, it's changed. Okay. Can we click on it?
Okay, so clicking it means eating, right? So click on that. Oh, a new path is shown, but it's a little bit fuzzy.
Maybe click it again.
Okay, so it's a bit brighter this time.
Yep, and again.
Excellent. So it's reached full brightness. So now you can see there's another path to the right. So where do you want to go?
So we did need to eat our carrots.
Yes.
Okay, let's go right.
Right. Congratulations, adventurer. You have reached your beloved Big Burger joint for all ages. Double whammy burgers and fries and wash it down with a diet beverage. You head on feeling slightly concerned about your health, but also can. And here is some applause for your efforts, if you can hear. Can you hear that? Okay. Hello?
Thank you, Hassan.
Cool. I'll just make sure like my mic was still on. All right, excellent. So that's the end of our live demo. I'm now going to stop sharing my screen and pass over to Beth, who's going to run you through a quick slideshow.
Thank you, Hassan. So yeah, we're just going to quickly chat about how we went about making our Burger Hunt game. We are Team Arcade Squad, Kirsty, Troy, Hassan and Beth. So we started off with our team sharing all of our ideas. We had lots. We chatted about inspiration from games we'd enjoyed playing ourselves, TV shows like Nightmare, Pac-Man, Zelda. We decided to choose a retro text-based adventure style. We looked at colours and imagery, and we really liked things like neon and bright colours. We made sure we worked together as a team. So we had an early meeting where we chatted around timing and tools. We had stand-ups and stand-down meetings every day, worked together on tickets where needed. For our tools, we use GitHub projects for our tickets. It integrates with GitHub, and we found the automation really useful this time around. So we started with discussing our MVP. We wrote a lot of user stories and chose from them things like, as a human, so that I can have fun, I want to be able to play an adventure game. And we saved some of the more complicated ideas for future iterations. At the end of week 1, we had a mid-project retro. We looked back at the goals we'd set at the start. So we discussed looking at session data, using APIs and CSS. So we made sure that we focused on those in week 2. Our main team goal was to learn and have fun, and Kirsty ran a great monster workshop. Then we thought a lot about planning our routes through the game. We began on paper, scribbling out different options. We used our Miro board a lot. Here, when Hassan was doing some writing, he was able to share it with us so we could chat through it. We also used trial and error. So we did some routes that didn't work and adapted them. And this picture shows that we really focused on logic first, quite a plain styling, and then we came back to it later and did CSS and imagery. It was around then that we thought about things like contrast and text and font as well. So at the end of our project, we still have some next steps. We've got lots more ideas in our project backlog. We've got ideas like a timer feature, a leaderboard of how fast you completed the game, a database of a lot more riddles, and also having a light and dark mode. We've got our app hosted on Heroku, so anybody can play. Any questions? Thank you for listening.
That's a fantastic achievement. Thank you so much for sharing it. I don't think we have any questions, but Oshin.
Yeah, I've just got a quick one, seeing as there's no others. Have any of you considered careers in improv comedy?
But, you know,
It's very entertaining.
Hassan, he probably won't say, but he wrote the bulk of it. So yeah, naturally very funny.
Yeah, a large amount of time was spent on that. Maybe like 8 of the 10 days we spent working on the comedy.
Yeah, it's the most important.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it was a great,
amazing work. Sorry, Beth, didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Oh.
And it's really important to bear in mind that not only did this team put together an app, but they designed a game. They wrote all the possible avenues and, you know, all the copy. You know, in the beginning, I said to them, you know, just steal some copy from another existing game and concentrate on the implementation. They're like, no, Roy, we're originals, we're creatives, we're gonna make this happen, and they did. To wonderful effect, as you all saw. So congratulations, you should be very proud of yourselves.
Also, just to say, there was some more routes in the game. We only chose one pathway. I forgot to mention at the end, there's also another set of routes and riddles to go through. So it's only half explored. So, you know, maybe on your own time, you know, I'll just go through and try it yourself.
You also forgot to disclose the pricing, like how much the game costs, because I'm sure you're not giving this away for free.
Well,
surely.
this is just, you know, the demo version. The full one can be given at cost. But you can see me later about that. I accept cash and checks.
We've got a crowdfunding page.
Yeah, we're in talks with Sony, so we're all right.
Excellent work. Okay, does anybody have any questions for any particular team or the cohort in general? Okay, fantastic. Well, I guess all that remains is to thank this cohort for all their hard work. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to work with you and get to know you for the last 12 weeks. I am beyond proud of all of you. I think you've achieved massive things. If you consider how little support you requested for the last 2 weeks, you were working so independently, no direction from me apart from the occasional little, kind of bug squashing. It's incredible what you've achieved, and I'm really, really pleased to say that I was at Makers at the same time as you. So thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you do great things on placement. Congratulations, everyone.
Thanks, Roy. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Roy.
done, everyone. It's great.
Okay, thanks everyone for attending. Have a lovely weekend.
See you guys. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, see you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.